Mm, nice. It's a Sunday morning, guys. As you can see, I'm in my kitchen. I'm thinking, oh, it's a nice day. Let's make the kids a roast. And I'm thinking, what could I do to spice up the situation? Sriracha? Don't know. Black pepper? Matching. Back home business? Blow out your back. Then I go on social media and I'm like, I don't need no spice. The spice is right here. Who do I see? Victor Osimhen, rumoured around Tottenham. Brother! This is what dreams are made of, man. I knew the reason why I prayed this morning. I prayed for good news for me and my family. Not my club, though. God's on job. Victor Osimhen. Now, before I go into this video, I beg you, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all of that to help my channel grow. I'm on TikTok, YouTube, a little bit of Instagram. It's going to be jokes. I've got so much going on with people coming on my show. I'm doing a madness. But forget all of that. We'll do that in the season to come. Victor Osimhen. Everybody that knows me personally has said, why ain't Tottenham ever, or not even Tottenham, anybody in general, why are they not going for Victor Osimhen? Why? This guy is top 3 striker for me and has been for the last 5 years, I reckon. I remember looking at him at Lille and thinking, I haven't seen too much of him, but he looks like he's going to be a problem. Then he goes to Napoli, and Napoli is just, nah. This is the millennial Drogba. This is Drogba, man. Drogba with a bit more pace. You know, he hasn't got the aggression of Drogba. Drogba was just a monster. But he's that type of guy, and football needs these guys. We've got too many nice strikers, too many people that want to be fed through. This guy, just like Drogba, makes goals off his own back, right? So I'm there thinking, like, why is no one going for him? I remember when he said he ain't going to Napoli. He doesn't want to be at Napoli, sorry. You had Chelsea, I think, were going in for him. There was a couple of other clubs. There was Arsenal sniffing around him, you know. But when he ended up at Galatasaray, I'm like, what? How's everybody letting him go there? Now, Tottenham, we're not in a position financially or, you know, positional-wise to do anything. I think when these things were happening, we had Ange. It wasn't going the greatest. You know, Conte had just left. Tottenham were always in a limbo, but it never felt right. Now, what people keep telling me is his wages. Now, I understand it because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he's on about 300 bags a week in Turkey. And what the Turkish people do, because they got Turkish mafia and other dodgy people running things in Turkey, shout out my Turks, football players are just exempt from paying tax. So it's not far off being the same as Saudi Arabia. That's why you find a lot of players that will, if they can't get a move to Saudi after playing in the Premier League or whatever, they go to Turkey. You look at Trossard. You know, Trossard for me had another 3 years in him, really, of playing at a top level. But where did he go? Besiktas. Nobody saw that, but he's calm. Probably living the dream there. Nice weather, tax-free, 250 grand a week. Why wouldn't you? So that's what Osimhen's doing. Now, for me, if Tottenham are moving like a big club, we need, first and foremost, to not have the strikers we've got. You know, Roberto De Zerbi came out today, or yesterday it was, and said that 1 minute Richarlison wants to stay, 1 minute he wants to go. I can't have my club being like that. Do you know what I mean? You come in and say, do you want to be here or not? You know, if I was at my job, yeah, my manager comes to me and says, oh, Jacob, how are you finding the job? Yeah, I'm not sure whether I want to be here or not, mate. Do you think my manager's going to go, all right, then let me know? At some point, he's going to have in the back of his mind, I need to figure out what's going on here and replace Jacob, whether I'm doing my job well or not. Now, Richarlison's done it well in spells. There's times where, I remember we played City away, and I was thinking, this guy is not messing about. Man in the match for me away to the Etihad when we beat them 2-0 under Thomas Frank. But then we'll go and play Leeds at home, and you might as well play me up front. It's not even a joke, because at least it will look like I'm trying. I'm not as good as Richarlison, but I'll try. And that alone would make everyone feel at least we've still got 11 men, right? So Richarlison, let's be real, is surplus to requirements. If Tottenham are talking about spending 100 million on Tonali, Fernandes, and everyone's talking about Tottenham are going to do bits next season, we still can't have the same two strikers that not really scoring goals. Like Dom Solanke, I'm alright with him being rotational because he's got injury problems and he's not really a goal threat. He's more like a workhorse. He's somebody that if we've got a top striker on and we're winning 2-0 and we need to rest our top striker for an FA Cup game or something like that, bring Solanke on for 20 minutes. He might get a third goal. He's happy. And if he keeps doing it, might be in for a shout or a starting match against whoever, right? But I'm sick and tired of Tottenham getting pretenders. We got rid of not arguably, the best striker Tottenham ever had, along with Jimmy Greaves, let's say, yeah? And we've replaced them with donuts. I don't want donuts. I want apple crumble. I want custard. I want ice cream. I don't want donuts. Donuts, £1, Sainsbury's. I want a proper apple crumble from the dessert shop. Bring me Osimhen. Now, I'm not going to keep going on too much about Osimhen because we all know that if Osimhen is going to come to Tottenham are either going to have to pay him a massive signing-on fee. Apparently, Galatasaray are asking for 65 million. So again, if it's 65 million, there's going to be other bigger clubs that are going to go, well, hold up a minute. Are we going to really let him go to Tottenham? So that will alert an Atletico Madrid, let's say, because Alvarez is looking like he wants to go. Osimhen and Simeone, food and drink. You know what I mean? But they'll work well together, if I'm honest. You've got Man United, they might come in and go, we're in the Champions League. Is Sesko going to do the business? Cool. They've got the money to spend. So we need to act quickly. But again, it is rumours. I'm not one of these people, that's like, I've got a source. I rely more on source like Sriracha than any of these sources that you see on Twitter. You get people that are telling me that Junior Krupi was seen in London doing a medical, and the next thing you know, he's injured for 4 months. Was he injured doing a medical then? Stop chatting poop. But, Tottenham in general, Osimhen aside, need a striker. There's other strikers out there that I look at and think, if you're going to spend 100 million on a Tonali, you got to, if we're going to get a striker, and De Zerbi's talking about a bomber, yeah, you're going to have to go and spend 130, 40 mil on a striker that's going to improve what we've got. I mean, I don't know how we've spent 140 million combined for the strikers that we've got, but that's another story. You can't change the past. You can only dictate the future. But just, my son knows. I've been saying it for time. Osimhen is my guy. Tottenham needs some African spirit, man. Do you know what I mean? The only African spirit we've really had is like Basuma, who likes blowing up balloons, and you've got Pap Sarr, who is just been destroyed by Thomas Frank, if I'm honest. I mean, we're hearing rumours of him going to Aston Villa and stuff, which will probably be a good fit for Villa and him. But we need a striker. If someone said to me, who's top of the list? I've always said it. I've said it for the last 4 years. Victor Osimhen. That geezer needs to be at Tottenham. If you're not going to get me a Victor Osimhen, go and get me a Girasay from Dortmund. You go to Dortmund and say, boom, 140 mil. Get serious, Tottenham. Dortmund ain't going to turn that down. They let Haaland go for 60 mil a few years ago. Dortmund are a selling club. And if we're going to sit there and say we're trying to build on something, we've got this manager and all this stuff, I'm not sitting there saying we're going to win the league. I'm not sitting there saying we're even going to get top 4. I've always said, from the jump, as soon as we stayed up, top 6 finish, playing respectable football, and not being no slouches at home. To start turning this stadium into a fortress, because that's one thing that our club has struggled with ever since we've moved into this stadium. We made Wembley more of a fortress than this one. So I just need a manager that comes in, just like Emre did with Aston Villa, and turns Villa Park into a fortress. Everyone knows that Villa, if they fall short of a title challenge or fall short of the top 4, it ain't going to be their home form. It's going to be their away form. They've drawn too many games or lost too many games against the big 6. I'm all right with Tottenham doing that because we did that at White Hart Lane. But if you can turn around your away form and turn those losses into draws and be formidable at home, that's when not only do you start getting into the top 4s and challenging for titles, you start winning stuff. That's what everybody does. Every club that has won in Europe, in France, England, or Italy have had formidable home form. You know that when you go to their patch, you ain't getting anything. If you get a draw, it feels like a win. That's what I want Tottenham to do. And if you're going to do that, you need to have big boys like Victor Osimhen up front with his mask on, staring defenders in the face, going, this is my yard. Like I said before, guys, like, share, subscribe, comment. I really want this channel to grow. This is something that I want to do in my life because everybody knows not only do I waffle a lot about football. So let's go. Love you all. Happy Sunday. Jacob on the one up top. Hashtag Victor Osimhen.